Just about every new Toyota usually tops the list of the best-selling vehicles, but over the past few months, two of Toyota's new SUVs have completely fallen off that list, and now you can buy one of them for dirt cheap. So in this video, I'm going to show you which new Toyotas are selling the fastest, which ones are worth buying, what Toyotas you should totally avoid right now, and then I'll show you the two slowest selling Toyota SUVs that you can buy right now, and one of them is dirt cheap. That is, if you can even find them on the lot. Now, I was going to start this video by showing you the absolute fastest selling Toyota vehicle that's out there right now, but I just saw something that might totally make you crap your pants, and that's the Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro. This thing is really nice, but it is very expensive, and probably one of the most expensive Toyotas that you can buy right now, other than that new GT supercar that came out. That's like a couple $100,000. Now, out of the top 10 fastest selling vehicles from like all of the brands, Toyota actually has 6 of those spots, and the Sequoia is number 6 out of the Toyotas on that list, which actually kind of shocks me because it's so expensive. And this TRD Pro is the most expensive and also hardest to find, but we not only have one TRD Pro Sequoia sitting on the lot, we've got a second one right here just in a different color, and this is like fresh off the truck. You can see that it still has the plastic covers on the wheels to keep them from getting scratched, the plastic on the seats, and the delivery sticker. And the interesting thing about the Sequoias is that most of them, by the time they're on the lot, they're already sold, which probably helps it to be on that fastest selling list. Like you can see, this one here was sold 12/28. So just how expensive is the Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro? Well, I've got it pulled up right here on my phone on the website, because the window sticker is not there because it's sold. So as you can see here, this specific TRD Pro right here is $83,360. $83,000 for almost $84,000 for a Toyota is pretty crazy. And it's one of the most expensive, like I said, Toyotas that you can find right now. But honestly, it's one of the best. They're really good looking SUVs. And as far as room on the inside, it's fairly large and there's a lot of room in there. Now let's talk about how many is in inventory and how much they've sold in the past 45 days. Toyota has a 36 market day supply of the Sequoia, with 4,269 for sale currently and 5,375 sold in just the last 45 days. And the average selling price is right at that $83,585 MSRP. And like I said, right now they've got this white one and this really dark gray one, and it's super rare that you'll see a brand new Sequoia TRD Pro on the lot that isn't sold. By the time they hit the dealer lots, they're already sold. So that brings us to the 5th fastest selling Toyota vehicle out there today, and that is this little Toyota Corolla Cross. Now, this has gotten popular since it came out, and it's actually selling quite faster than one of the other previously most popular Toyota vehicles. I like the Corolla Cross because it's got the reliability of the Corolla. It also has a bit lower of a starting price than a lot of the other larger Toyota vehicles. And as far as looks goes, I feel like it's a pretty good looking little SUV, and it has a lot of room for being how small it is. And as far as the numbers on how many they have in inventory and how fast they're selling and what they're selling for, Toyota has a 35 market day supply of the Corolla Cross, with 15,932 for sale right now and 20,331 sold just in the last 45 days. And the average selling price for the Corolla Cross is about $31,303. And that's pretty much reflective when we take a look at the window stickers right here. And I think these are all pretty much the same exact trim level. They look the same, front bumper, wheels are the same. So it's safe to assume that they're all the same. So how much is a Corolla Cross with leather? This is a 2026 Corolla Cross XLE. The MSRP is $31,000, and then you got this delivery and processing, which is on every car. That brings it to $32,560. So slightly lower by about $1,000 than the average selling price. And that's probably more than likely because you'll get a discount. Most of the time I've seen these Corolla Crosses for sale, and they're usually like $1,000 or $2,000 off when you go in and talk to them. So that's probably where that average selling price comes in. That's about $1,000 lower than the MSRP. and that's the number 5 fastest selling Toyota right now. On to number 4. When I'm at these dealerships, I notice a lot of people just sitting in the service department, just bored and playing on their phones. Well, thanks to today's sponsor, Horseplay, I've got the perfect thing to entertain yourself while you're waiting on your vehicle in service. Thanks to Horseplay, there's finally a way to play real money games online, and it's 100% legal. Horseplay is a real money gaming app where you can play your favorite slot style and table games, all powered by live horse racing events that determine results and payouts. It's not a casino, not crypto, and not a sweepstakes site. Just a new legal way to gamble online and win real cash. It's fully licensed and regulated in 18 US states, and it's expanding fast. Horseplay gave me a demo account a few weeks ago to check out, and I've been playing with it a whole bunch, and it's actually been really fun. Payouts can be up to 20,000 times your bet. There's no gimmicks, no coins, no crypto, just real play, real stakes, and real cash. They'll match your first credit package purchase from $10 to $250, and we'll throw in an extra $50 more bonus credit from a minimum of $10 to $250. Also guys, for a limited time, if you use my promo code, you're going to get an extra $50 in bonus credit. So go sign up now. Download Horseplay now using the link in my description and start playing for real cash. Alright, we're number 4 on the fastest selling Toyota right now, and that's going to be the old reliable Toyota Corolla. And they've got 1, 2, 3, looks like 4 right here. Not too much in inventory right now because they're selling these cars really fast. And it's also one of the cheapest Toyotas that you can buy right now. And as far as the numbers go, Toyota has a 33-day market supply with 28,271 for sale and 38,163 sold of the Toyota Corolla in the past 45 days. And unlike the super expensive pickup trucks or some of the bigger SUVs, this one's pretty cheap. The average selling price of the Toyota Corolla is just $25,446. And just to show you like what you get on a cheap one and then like a more higher trim level, we've got 2 side by side, so it makes it pretty convenient for me to show you. So we've got these 2 lower trim levels right here, and I want to see just this little silvery white one right here. But it looks like it does have some leather interior, so it's not the cheapest of the cheap. This is a Corolla hybrid that also makes it more expensive, XLE sedan, with leather and the hybrid engine and all that stuff. It's $31,079. And this one here might be a cheaper one, but I think it has leather seats as well. I'm not sure if I'll find a $25,000 one. Yeah, this is an XLE hybrid as well for $30,604. And this one right here, I believe, is a hybrid as well. Yep. $31,204. So I don't see the cheapest one you can buy, but in my previous video, I did see the cheapest Toyota that you could find. So I did a whole video about that. So if you want to go to the other video after you watch this, then you'll see what a cheap Corolla is. So they do get down to that $25,000 price. They just don't have any on the lot currently because more than likely they sold them. But while I'm over here on the Corollas, this is a car that I really wasn't going to talk about today because it's not on any of the fastest or slowest selling lists. It's kind of right in the middle. I just thought this was cool to show you. The newer Prius, I think, looks like really good. And they actually have a yellow one here. I've never seen the yellow one on the lots before. I kind of dig it. I'm a big fan of like the brighter, louder colors. I like to have fun with my cars, and the yellow on the new Prius actually looks kind of amazing. And kind of amazing, I want to see how much it is compared to the Corolla. This is a 2026 Prius Nightshade plug-in hybrid. It's $41,359. So about 10 grand more for the Prius, but the gas mileage is completely insane. You're looking at a combined city and highway of 48 miles per gallon. Compared to the Corolla hybrid, it actually is pretty insane as well. It gets 50. So the Corolla hybrid actually gets a higher combined miles per gallon than the Toyota Prius, and it's about $10,000 to $15,000 less. Obviously that was a high trim level. But let's move on to the 3rd fastest selling Toyota right now. All right, so we're down to the 3rd fastest selling Toyota right now, and I only found one of them on this lot, and that was actually just delivered a couple days ago. And that's going to be the Toyota Camry. And I looked all around this lot, and this is the only one that I could find. And I think because it's selling so fast, they're either sold by the time they get here, like day one, sold before they get here, or they just don't last very long. And I think because this is the only one I found, that's proof of that. So how fast exactly is the new Toyota Camry selling? Well, here's the numbers. Toyota only has a 30 market day supply of the Camry with 41,926 for sale right now, and 62,424 sold in the last 45 days. And the average selling price for a Camry is $34,952. And as you can see, they actually sold 20,000 more than they have sitting on the lots in the past 45 days. And that basically means that these cars are, a lot of them, made to order and sold before they even hit these dealer lots. And I can see why, because as a full-size sedan, this is a pretty good looking car, and it also gets good gas mileage as well. And at $35,000, that's not too crazy of a price. Remember, the average price of new vehicles nowadays is over $50,000. So Toyota does have a lot of options for cars that are under that $50,000 number. Now, this one here is just above the $35,000 average selling price, but it's not that much above. This is a 2026 Camry, Nightshade trim level, all-wheel drive. Gets a whopping 46 miles per gallon with their hybrid system, and it's only $3,000 more than the average selling price at $38,679. And honestly, I like the Camry dash because the screen does not stick up over the dash. So that's 1 point for the Camry. But that's it for the Camry. There's not a lot to show you. Let's move on to the second fastest, then the first #1 fastest selling, and then we'll move on to the 2 slow sellers, and one of them you can pick up for a pretty good deal right now. And then I want to talk to you about some issues with a couple of Toyotas that you should totally avoid. So the second fastest selling Toyota, I couldn't even find a brand new one on this lot at all. And as we go through this list of fastest selling, it becomes harder and harder to find them on a lot. And this one is no question. Now, I did find a couple of used ones, and that's because it's the Toyota Highlander. And they not only have one used one, which is the silver one right here, they got a couple more used ones over here, and one of them is like a really, really freaking nice green color. And green is my favorite color, so I want to walk around this one while I talk about the sales numbers on the Highlander. Toyota has a 26 market day supply of the Highlander with 5,408 total for sale right now. And just in the last 45 days, they've sold 9,238 at an average selling price of $52,294. And so they're selling even faster than the Camry because the number that have sold is more than double, or just about double, what they currently have in inventory on the lot. And so most of them as well are pretty much sold before they even hit this dealer lot. Or if one shows up randomly at the dealership, it's gone. Because like I said, I couldn't find any new Highlanders on this lot at all, just like 3 used ones. And the only Highlander badged vehicle they have on the lot, they only have one of them. And that's the bigger brother, the Grand Highlander. And like I said, they only have one of these Grand Highlanders on the lot and absolutely 0 normal Highlanders. And so with that said, that brings us to the fastest selling Toyota right now, as far as like inventory goes and how many are on the lot, etc. And then I want to talk about the 2 SUVs, one of them that is super cheap, and then the Toyota you might want to avoid. Now, there's something I find really interesting about the fastest selling Toyota, and that's because it's something that I didn't expect to be the fastest selling Toyota. Not at all. And that's going to be the minivan, the Toyota Sienna right here. And I only found 2 of these new Siennas on the lot, and both of these was recently delivered just a few days ago on December 28th. And I'm not sure if they're sold, because usually if they're sold, it'll say sold on it right here. And these 2 do not say sold. You can see the date right here on the windshield doesn't say sold. And on this white one right here, oh, this one does say sold. So we have one of them that's sold and another minivan that is not sold. Toyota only has a 24 market day supply of the Sienna with 8,769 total for sale and 16,221 sold in the last 45 days. And the average selling price of a Sienna is probably a little bit more than you think, but that's probably because a lot of these sold are a bit more of a higher trim level. The average selling price of the Sienna is $51,910, and I think you'll see that when you look at the sticker. Now, as far as this one that's already sold, it's a 2026 Sienna XLE all-wheel drive, non-hybrid, so not the hybrid, just a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, and it's right around that average selling price at $51,355. And this gray one over here looks to be a similar trim level because the wheels are the same and the seats are the same. It's a Sienna XLE all-wheel drive 2026 with the same engine and $51,085. And as far as vehicle goes, I think it's a good-looking minivan and it gets your family around. Now, there is one minivan that I think is probably the best-looking minivan that I've ever seen. And I won't talk about that here, but I'll talk about it in another video. But that's it for the fastest selling Toyotas. Now I want to talk about the two SUVs that used to be selling really, really fast, but they've really slowed down in sales over the past year, and one of them that you can buy for pretty cheap. So the first slow selling SUV with Toyota is one that used to be one of their absolute best sellers, but over the past year, it's really, really slowed down. And that's going to be the Toyota 4Runner, and I think there's a few reasons why the 4Runner has really slowed down in sales. Right now, Toyota's in the middle of a transition between the older generation 4Runners and the new one that you see behind me right here. And every time there's like a transition to where something is almost completely new, which the 4Runner has a lot of new stuff compared to the outgoing one, there's a lot of hesitancy to buy that new one. And that goes with the 4Runner, specifically because the 4Runner was the same design for well over 10 years, and now they've completely changed it with the new front end. The side profile is completely different, and of course, along with that, the rear is completely different as well. It's mostly a completely new vehicle. There's a few things that carry over from the chassis, but not much. And the second thing is the engine is completely new, along with some of the other things like the Toyota Tacoma, the Tundra, and the Sequoia going from non-turbo to turbo engines. The 4Runner has just done the same thing. And as far as engine goes, it pretty much shares the same engine as the new Tacoma. But I think more than just the engine being changed, I'm pretty sure price is the big problem here. So this is a 2026 TRD Sport Premium, which is kind of a higher trim level, but not the highest you can get. And it's almost $60,000. So I'm pretty sure price is the biggest problem, because they can get even more expensive than that $60,000 mark. And I want to show you one that's more expensive than that $60,000 mark. And that's right here, the TRD Pro 4Runner. And honestly, this thing looks freaking amazing. If I had the funds to buy one of these and just blow a bunch of money, this would be the Toyota SUV that I would get. I think it looks really aggressive. Got the TRD wheels on it. This kind of sandy, gray, brown color, like a tan, is really, really nice. I wish it was in the sun, because the sun really makes this color pop. But this is one that I think is pretty cool. But this thing is over $60,000. So this isn't the specific color that you can pick, but I picked like a different color, like this Wavemaker, the black interior, which this one has the black interior right here, as you can see. Same powertrain, there's really only one option. But as you can see down here in the bottom, the TRD Pro is $70,000 almost, $69,375. And I didn't even really add any kind of additional accessories after that. So that's $70,000 for a freaking Toyota 4Runner. And I understand that it is the TRD Pro version, but I feel like that's a little bit steep. And it's way more than the outgoing TRD Pro of the last generation. But walking around this lot, I did find some of the lower trim level 4Runners, and let me show you that, and then we'll move to the car that I'm not sure why it's selling slow, but maybe there's a reason. Now, I did find a couple of the lower trim level SR5 4Runners. There's a little white one here, and there's like a maroon one right there. They're pretty much the same trim level, so I want to see what the price is compared to like the really expensive models of the TRD Off-Road and the TRD Pro. And this is a 2025 model, so not really any 2026 models on the lot yet, because they still have quite a few 2025s left over to sell. And that just shows you how they're selling a little bit slower, because all of the other fast selling top 6 ones, top 10, whatever, they had 2026 models, and we're still stuck in 25 for these 4Runners. So this one right here is $48,113, quite a lot less than the $55,000 to almost $70,000 price of the other models, but that's about as low as it's going to get for these. You're looking at almost $50,000 for the lower SR5 trim level. Now, they're not a complete sales disaster. Like in October, they sold over 10,000 units in October 2025. They just have a lot more inventory on the lot, and they're selling a bit slower than those other 6 models of the Toyota that I talked about. And the 4Runner, I think, is still a reliable buy, because like the Tacoma, this new inline 4 turbo is not really having a ton of issues, unlike some of the other vehicles that I'm going to talk about here in a minute. So this one still seems to have the Toyota reliability that we're all used to. Being a turbo in the first couple years of the new engine, we still have some stuff to figure out with it, and only time will tell. Let's wait until some of these get to be about 4, 5, 6 years old, and then that will really tell if Toyota is back to being a long-term reliable option. All right, so now it's time to finally get to the vehicle that has dropped off of the top 10 fastest selling list, and I'm a little bit confused by it for a few reasons. And that's going to be the Toyota RAV4. This actually used to be always in the top 10 fastest selling Toyotas right now, but like I showed you earlier, it's completely dropped out of that fastest selling. And the way they work this fastest and slowest selling list is honestly, I feel like kind of weird, because this list is actually based off of how fast they're selling compared to the number of cars in inventory on the lot. So especially with Toyota, some of these vehicles, they might have 2 and then it sells the same day, which speeds up the rate of the sales. But the 4Runner, it's not selling terribly, but they have a lot more inventory than the other cars on the list. As you can see behind me, we've got a whole row of 4Runners going all the way down here on the left side. And they're selling a lot, there's just more inventory. So it kind of skews those fastest selling numbers a little bit, in my opinion. Because in November of 2025, they've sold almost 40,000 units of this RAV4. And year to date, that's over 437,000 of these RAV4 sold, which puts it on the top list of sales by numbers anyways, not by inventory compared to sales. I mean, just for an example, in the same time period of 45 days, like over 30, the Grand Highlander sold just under 10,000. So really rating this fastest and slowest selling by number of market day supply, honestly, when it comes to Toyota, is a little bit skewed in my opinion, because the RAV4, they're selling a crap ton of these. And that's probably because when compared to the Highlander and the Grand Highlander and the other largest SUVs like the 4Runner and the Sequoia, they're a lot cheaper, and you can even get discounts on them because they have so many. So most of the ones I see here are the XLE all-wheel drive trim level. And so I want to check and see how much one of these XLE all-wheel drives go for. And I'm pretty sure they have the XLE all-wheel drives, basically every single one of these, because they're the most popular trim level that you can get. So let's take a look at this maroon one here. I think it's a nice vehicle. It gets great gas mileage. Not as much as a Corolla or Prius, but 29 combined highway and city for SUV is pretty decent. And as you can see, they do still have a lot of 2025 models. Most of these on this row are 2025s. And the XLE all-wheel drive is not the cheapest one you can buy, because the MSRP is $42,324. But if you look and get a lower trim level like a XL or XLE without the all-wheel drive, you can get that into the low 30s to mid 30s. And because they have a lot of 2025 inventory left, you can get some pretty good discounts on them. Now that we got all of these fastest and slowest selling and RAV4 that shocked me, and because it's off that list, out of the way, I want to talk about the 2 Toyotas that you should potentially avoid because they have some problems that just seem to not be able to get fixed. And that brings us full circle right back to where we started with the Toyota Sequoia, and basically its twin just with a truck bed. That would be the new Toyota Tundra. Now the Tundra has probably been one of the best trucks as far as reliability goes with the previous generation. But this new generation has had so many problems with the engines that they put out a recall for just about every single one, said there was a fix, replaced tens of thousands, if not over 100,000 engines. And apparently that problem is coming back and motors are still having issues. And this one's a good example right here. This is clearly someone's that they drove around. They even put some aftermarket wheels on it. But as you can see in this window, this is a Toyota buyback, and it says unauthorized. You can't use this vehicle, sell it, or anything. This has to go back to Toyota. And I don't recall a time with the previous Tundra where I ever saw Toyota buying any of them back, and you would never see them on the lot with buyback written on the window. And the reason the Sequoia that I wrap it into this is that the new Sequoia shares the very same engine as the Tundra. And now I think the reason why they haven't previously recalled the engines in the Sequoia, and it's just now starting to be brought up, is that they just don't sell as many Sequoias as they do Tundras. Yes, according to market day supply, they're the faster selling, in that top 6 of Toyotas, but that's because they never keep any on the lot. So I feel like Toyota manipulates that data a little bit, but they're really good at just keeping exactly what they're selling on the lot better than any other brand. And so because these two share similar architecture and the exact same engine, these two have the most problems and they're the biggest risk when it comes to buying a new Toyota. So I would say for right now, if you're looking at a new Toyota, just be careful when you buy a Tundra or a Sequoia. Just know that there is the potential out there to have a complete engine failure. Toyota will fix it. It is under warranty, but it's just a bit of a risk, and nobody wants to pay a car payment on something and it sit in the dealership for 2 months getting a new motor. That's just kind of a pain in the butt. But as far as dirt cheap, you can get those RAV4s for like the low 30s if they don't have like the expensive one on the lot. I wish I could have found the cheap entry-level RAV4, but they just didn't have any. More than likely, if that shows up on the lot, it's flying off the shelf. Anyways, I'm Matt with MotoFeed. Thanks for watching this video. If you made it this far, please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next video.